From a feature that has been in the game for 7 years to something you use every day, Epic Games has to revert this. So fans are outraged over one change recently, and it all has to do with skins. Fortnite has spent years releasing bundles and collabs that don't break the bank. Dragon Ball Z had incredible value for money, giving you Frieza and Cell for 2,300 V-Bucks, or Goku Beerus and a pickaxe for 2,700. But recently, fans have noticed that bundles are starting to skyrocket in price. The Avatar collab recently dropped, and it's extremely expensive. For a single outfit and pickaxe, it's 2,000 V-Bucks, leading players to get the bundle, which costs 3,200. Well, if you haven't noticed, Fortnite only sells V-Bucks in stacks of 2,800, and now bundles are over that price, so people are basically forced to get more currency than they need just to get a collab. A lot of fans are scared this is becoming the new norm. Even the Coachella bundle looks like a good deal from a glance. Only 3,000 V-Bucks for 2 icon emotes, 2 skins, a pickaxe, a wrap, and a back bling. Except this is where things get suspicious. If you look at the individual prices for the Coachella items, Fortnite are charging 1,500 for a single outfit with no back bling. For reference, the last Coachella skins were 1,200 each. Players think they're increasing regular prices to make the bundles look like a way better deal. It's a classic business strategy. And that is just the start of secret changes happening under our noses. Another time is when they changed a beloved storyline and caused it to make no sense. This whole time, Midas has been gone from the island, and we last saw him getting devoured by a shark. Since then, a ton of reskins have dropped, but they never explained why Midas had all these versions. Obviously, they weren't canon to the story. Things have gotten strange. Over 4 years later, Epic drops another reskin, Ascendant Midas, except it feels different. This version comes with his own LTM, and for the first time in almost half a decade, they bring back the official Midas storyline. But think about it, when you go back and look at your own work from 4 years ago, all you want to do is improve it. That's exactly what Fortnite did, changing Midas' backstory to sound incredible. After getting eaten by a shark, his soul was trapped in the underworld and captured by Hades. Not just that, but when Midas broke out of the underworld, Jules had to build gauntlets to control his golden touch. It's an enticing story that gets a little tainted when you remember Midas controlled it anyway, choosing when to turn things gold. All of a sudden, it's not true and we just have to accept it. And players are not accepting an update that has caused massive backlash on social media. This week, Fortnite shocked everyone by deleting a feature that is over 7 years old. Since the minute Battle Royale existed, we all had rarities on our cosmetics. Cheaper skins were uncommon and basic, while legendary outfits were super complex and cost a ton more. This has always been the system. Eventually, rarities turned into categories, letting players sort their cosmetics by price at a glance. Even collabs got their own sections like Marvel, Gaming Legends, or the Icon series. Yet after this whole time, no one was expecting to log in, view their locker, and find rarities deleted. A huge part of the community is terrified that it'll affect prices. I mean, we already talked about how bundles are secretly going up, and now that you can't tell the difference between a legendary and a rare outfit, what does this mean for all item shop skins? Now, on the other hand, Epic addressed this concern, claiming it doesn't change their approach or the way they price things. Apparently, this was to simplify the appearance of Fortnite and remove outdated BR-inspired systems, but fans are still pretty mad though, considering this was community noted. But that's not the only way Fortnite has done us dirty. The Battle Pass has always been an insanely good value for money. 950 V-Bucks, and if you complete it, you'll earn more than what you spent on it. I mean, how cool is that? Except Epic has been sneaky. For the last couple of seasons, they have moved the V-Bucks tiers further and further away until finally putting them in bonus rewards. Now, finishing the Battle Pass gives you less V-Bucks than ever before. If you want the regular amount, you need to keep leveling up beyond that, reaching extra tiers. What I'm saying is, next time you feel like your V-Bucks count is running lower than usual, this is probably why. A change you absolutely didn't notice involves medallions. Yeah, they were completely overhauled in Season 2, but there was a secret update long before that. At the beginning, medallions looked like this in your inventory, a nice clean 3D icon. It really stood out, but within 2 weeks, these unique icons will be gone, replaced with flat 2D versions, and you probably never even realized. One of the strangest additions this season was the Coachella set. The skins look great and everything, but it also had an Icon series emote in the bundle. One of these was Paint the Town Red by Doja Cat, and as players went to view it, they realized the word devil was censored. This, alongside the actual swear words, meant that half the song was blanked out in the emote, which, I mean, it kinda sucked. In fact, the official radio edit of the song doesn't even censor devil. Fortnite must have got a different version from the record label because they immediately told us this will be reversed in the next update. Now, Fortnite also just removed every ancient Greek mythic from the game, which is pretty insane considering they are the key part of the season. Yes, fans will be happy to know the chains of Hades are gone because they were so overpowered. We started Season 2 with these chains being pretty balanced. Some fans thought they were a little weak though, and with a few updates, Fortnite brought all their stats up. Except these buffs kept coming. Over and over again, Epic would make the change stronger until it was way too late. Players were now doing 240 damage in under 3 seconds. Sure, the Mythic is gone now, but it'll return in May, and that's when Chaos is gonna be unleashed again. A change that totally went under the radar involves gold bars. They've been in the game for quite a while now, so you'd think we'd notice if they were redesigned, except you didn't because it was so tiny. Originally, these bars had an Imagined Order logo on them because they were used during the Bounty Hunter season. Entire chapters passed, the IO were defeated, yet the logo remained. Well, till a random update in the middle of nowhere secretly changed this iconic symbol to an even more famous one, V-Bucks. A change that shouldn't have happened involves Zeus. As king of the gods, you'd expect him to be super powerful. And yeah, he looks pretty strong if I do say so myself. But then you look at his Lego version, something's different. He has a massive scar across his right eye. It is very noticeable, and yet on the regular outfit, this is nowhere to be seen. Fans also pointed to the sprays in the battle pass, showing Zeus with his missing scar and even a fake blue eye. Clearly this was a part of his concept art until the last second. Kinda like how they got rid of Midas's glasses days before release. I wonder why. If only they changed Mystique back in the day, because she is still proving herself as pay to win. Turns out, at the start of Chapter 5, Fortnite added a secret button, letting us toggle walk. This meant we didn't have to jog around or tactical sprint everywhere. There was an option to move just like an NPC. When you pair that with Mystique, it becomes overpowered pretty quickly. But even with this strategy, barely anyone knows about the walking mechanic.
Here we go, here we go. Yes! Let's go!
And we are tired of the constant changes to supply drops. These were untouched for the longest time, so when Fortnite replaced them with combat caches, it freaked out everyone. It felt weird to play a match without supply drops, so when they reappeared in Fortnite OG, it was like seeing an old friend. Except this joy wouldn't last long, as Chapter 5 immediately brought us back to the cache system. Fans were pretty annoyed, and our feedback was heard by Epic, who came up with a fresh way to bring supply drops back. They are here in Season 2, you probably just don't realize it. Now these don't parachute from the sky in the middle of the game, you have to physically call them in using a briefing station. And honestly, I don't care what it takes, as long as combat caches are gone forever. Hopefully Midas isn't though. I mentioned how they retconned his story, but not how it ended. Turns out once he escaped, Midas met up with his old crew and took back the iconic yacht from 2020. It was updated from a society design to Shadow, and players were super hyped, wondering what would happen next. Would they upgrade the boat, maybe take it around the map? Nah, before we knew it, the crew had better things to do and left Fortnite's island for good. But hey, they're probably trying to get away from all of these juniors. Epic is slowly changing the way utility items work. Things like the crash pad were made smaller and less useful, giving it the name Crash Pad Junior. We thought this was a one-off kind of deal until they dropped another throwable, the Shield Bubble Junior. It worked like usual, but this time just a smaller dome. We have no idea why Fortnite is making tiny versions of old items, but they are, and it's starting to become the norm. I don't think the originals will ever come back. And I also don't think snipers will be the same. When Chapter 5 first dropped, these were everyone's go-to. You could pop enemies with a single shot. Yeah, it was OP, but it was also incredibly satisfying. This started to become a major problem though, and Fortnite had to do something about it. So they decided the best thing was to ruin snipers by adding huge bullet drops. The fall off is super extreme and the bullet travels way slower, making it almost impossible to predict shots from a distance. Now, not all changes are bad. Fortnite has started to listen to fans who buy instruments. These cosmetics aren't nearly as popular as skins or pickaxes because you can only use them with jam tracks. Despite this, they cost more than some pickaxes, with guitars and drum kits going for 1,000 V-Bucks. If they were part of a collab like the Ninja Turtles, it would be even more than that. Eventually, Epic must have realized no one was paying for these and lowered the price to around 800, giving current owners their V-Bucks back. Earlier I mentioned shadow briefings, but what these originally started out as were bounty boards. You can visit these and earn a little gold on the side for eliminating a bounty. Eventually, this would become a job board, letting you choose from a variety of quests, either discovering a POI, opening containers, or hunting down a target. Yet when it came to this season, Epic thought of a better way to do things, turning them into a briefing station that rewards you for tasks. You need to finish the mission within a time limit, and in return you'll get things like supply drops, vehicles, or loot. While Fortnite changes stuff like bounties to get more complicated, other things are made simpler. Every time you boot up the game on console or PC, you can expect to be greeted with the key art and theme music blasting. It still happens, but ever since Chapter 5, Epic changed this. Usually the loading screen will be updated every single season, but with the introduction of LEGO, Festival, and Rocket Racing, the yard is now stuck as the metaverse of Fortnite. It's been 2 seasons of this, and players are worried we might only get a new one every year. But it's not just Chapter 5 that has changed the game permanently, because it's been over 2 years since reboot vans also got an upgrade. That last revamp had to spawn through a rift rather than directly onto the van. It was a pretty cool change and made you less vulnerable off spawn, although it means a lot of people have forgotten the old version. It didn't return with OG, and now they've updated them again. Before, the charge would slowly go down after canceling a reboot, but now it stays, allowing you to pick up on your progress or even your enemies. Even the NPCs on the island have evolved over the years. At this point, they are practically sentient. They used to just be characters you could find for quests, but over time got upgrades like selling weapons, instant healing, and rifts. Eventually, Epic gave us the ability to hire them, and this is where it started getting crazy. Hired NPCs would now have their own specialty, from recon to supply. They would not only follow you around and attack like a teammate, but even had abilities like dropping you extra loot. Just when we thought they couldn't get any better, we suddenly command them to wait, move locations, and they would even revive you. These guys are more useful than my friends. To top it all off, Fortnite just pulled off the most overpowered change yet. Usually you have to defeat a boss and guards to get a hold of a mythic, but in Chapter 5, Midas just straight up sold one. However, there was still a catch, only one in stock, so it meant first come, first serve. It's pretty well known that Vibin was a widely disliked season, but one of the best parts was the introduction of animal taming. After so long, we could finally take our befriended wolves and boars, letting us ride them around. It was a pretty fun feature, especially ramming enemies off cliffs with them, but it wasn't long before it got left behind and eventually removed. We hadn't seen them since the start of Chapter 4, and now they are finally back with Cerberus, but untamable yet again. And recently some players have found themselves chased by Force Ghosts. Okay, well, it's not Star Wars, but instead hologram NPCs. This season Epic updated them, so when you get eliminated, ones you hired would respawn as a ghost and slowly walk back to their original destination so people can still interact with them. But what about if you're still alive? Turns out, if just your follower gets killed, their ghost won't know what to do and will continue to follow you as a glowing hologram for the rest of the game. That shows everyone where you are, and the worst part, they can't even do anything to help you now. Those are a bunch of things Fortnite has secretly changed. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.